All right. So, as you can see, today's lesson is peace and priest offerings. So, this will just elaborate more on what we covered in Genesis, not Genesis, Leviticus uh, chapters 1 and 2 about how to conduct the offerings according to the sin that was committed. And this also kind of clarifies, like, incidental unknowing sin is how to clear yourself from that. Now, of course, we know that Mashiach is the ultimate blood sacrifice, so these sacrifices are no longer necessary. But this is what our forefathers and foremothers had to deal with before Mashiach would come to redeem us. So it's just interesting to continue to learn our history and you know see how what was done was eventually the foreshadowing of Mashiach to come. Here we go. Uh, it's called the peace and priest. All right. And today is gonna be like fairly short. It's gonna be just this one slide, and you know, you can go on to enjoy the rest of your feast day. Are we to ever eat the fat and blood of animals? Is Yasharal?
No,
Say it again. Say it again.
no.
Congratulations, you. All right, what you doing, Yaya? He's sitting there like, whoo. I'm like, I know I didn't press that button. Okay, so yes, go ahead. Can you get it, Ayana, for me? Can you get it, Dakota? Exodus 3, 1 through 17.
Yeah, let me just get to it real quick. Good grief. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, Leviticus 3, 1 through 17. Um, and this is from the Sefer. And if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd, whether it be a male or female, he shall offer it without blemish before Yahuwah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the assembly. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah, the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, shall he take away. And Aaron's sons shall burn it on the altar upon the ascending smoke sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto Yahuwah be of the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb for his offering, then shall the offer then shall he offer before Yahuwah, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and kill it before the tabernacle of the assembly. And Aaron's sons shall sprinkle the blood thereof round about upon the altar. And he shall offer of the sacrifice of the peace offering an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. The fat thereof and the whole rump it shall he take off hard by the backbone, and the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. And if his offering be a goat, then he shall offer it before Yahuwah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of it and kill it before the tabernacle of the assembly. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about. And he shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah, the fat that covers the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is Yahuwah's. It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations through all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat nor blood.
All right. Thank you, Cody. So, all those who are new may be tuning in for the first time. This is why Black folk, quote unquote, we like our food well done. I even remember, like, before I, hung out with Edomites a little bit more, as I got older. Like, when I ordered a steak, like the first time I went out and ordered a steak with other nations, they was like, yeah, I don't mind, medium well or well done. And they're like, what? You lose all the flavor. Like, I mean, this is how I eat it. Now, I do admit, I'll medium rare, but I make sure there's no blood. But I understand why that origin came about as to why Black folk, Israelites uh, don't eat rare steaks and other things like that, or raw food in general. Generally, we don't eat raw food if it's not like a fruit or vegetable. So, does anybody else want to say anything?
That visceral fat ain't no joke, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what they say? That's like the worst fat that you can have. It's the visceral.
Yeah,
And
because
y'all
it's
know
hard.
which one it is, right? Go ahead.
It's hard to get rid of, but in some sense, you want to have a little bit because it's a nice store of calories for energy later. But yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah, adipose, was it adipose tissue, like the fat that's right up under the one that you can touch, and squeeze, and all of that. That one that is like that's what you're talking about. But the one that actually surrounds the organs is
yeah, yeah,
visceral fat.
yeah, yeah. You don't want that. Yeah,
All right. That
no.
one is that one's actually doing all kind of stuff. They actually say that that one's like it's like a whole living system within your body, which is that's a whole nother ordeal. But anyway, you know what I'm saying?
And it's
Like,
smothering the organs, like
yeah,
getting oxygen, because like your whole body breathes. You don't think about it. You think just your lungs and your mouth and your nose, but your whole body breathes. And if you got layers of stuff that's not supposed to be there, it makes it harder for your organs to operate. So
yeah. Most I like, nah, man. All that fat that's surrounding the organs, nah, no, don't even deal with it.
yeah,
I just think that's very interesting.
use it as lighter fluid or something. But yeah, don't eat it. Let's see. On to the next question. What shall a priest do with his hand before slaying a bullock for a sin offering? I think I said sin offering. I can't see. Where's my? Where, did y'all not take my notes? No, there it is. Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah. What shall a priest do with his hand before slaying a bullock for sin? All right. Does anybody? You can take a wild guess. It's somewhat similar, not too far off. Like, well, if nobody has an idea, we'll go ahead and read the answer. Let's see. Who wants to get Leviticus chapter 4, 1 through 12?
I'll read
You got it. Oh, all right.
Y'all do rock, paper, scissors, even though y'all probably can't see each
it.
other.
You got that.
You got it?
We're good.
Go ahead, Texas.
Me? All right. I got that. One second. One second. All right. Leviticus 4, 1 through 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin through ignorance against any commandment of the Lord concerning things which ought not to be done, do any against of them. If the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he hath sinned, a young bullock which without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. And he shall bring the bullock unto the door of the tabernacle unto the congregation before the Lord, and shall lay his hand upon the bullock's head, and kill the bullock before the Lord. And the priest that is anointed shall take the bullock's blood, and bring it to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood, and sprinkle of the blood 7 times before the Lord, before the veil of sanctuary. And the priest shall put some blood upon the horns of the altar, and sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Yeah. And he shall take off from it all the fat of the bullock for the sin offering, the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys. It shall he take away, as it was taken off from the bullock of the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them upon an altar of the burnt offering, and the skin of the bullock, and all his flesh, with his head, and with his legs, and his inwards, and his dung. Even the whole bullock shall he carry forth without the camp unto a clean place, where the ashes are poured out, and burn him on the wood fire. Where the ashes are poured out shall he be burnt.
There you go. So this is what the priest would do for incidental sin offering for an individual or himself. He would, just he place the hand on the bullock and slit the throat, and collect the blood, and then do the rest as described in the scriptures. And it's pretty much going to be the same for the next 2 questions. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. But this is interesting. As Texas was reading, and he's reading for the King James, and it says for assembly, it says congregation, and for Yahuwah, it says Lord. It's interesting how our enemies, crafty counsel, change just those 2 words, and it makes you think like, oh, okay, that Lord is God, and that's it. But if they'd have just left even the word assembly, let's say they leave the word Lord, right? Assembly. And you're like, well, for the person that's asking questions, like, why assembly, not church? But they slid in congregation because that's more associated with church, which is not necessarily, I'm going to say the incorrect way, but we're supposed to gather together in smaller groups, not mega churches, put it like that. So, because smaller groups allow, the individual to have questions and have questions answered. But if you go into a huge congregation, you might as well just be going to a football game. So it's just interesting how the enemy changed just those 2 words. And, those of us who are just now waking up were set for like 30 plus years of our life, 50, 40 plus years, 60 plus years, depending on when the Most High sent the Ruach to wake you up. And, we just didn't know we didn't even know the questions to ask. Like, but in the words of Dick Cheney, there are known unknowns, unknown unknowns type thing.
Mm-hmm.
From Phil, I can't remember. I'm old, so
You on your way.
yeah.
Yeah, you ain't, come on now. Yeah, man. I don't know if I'm pretty sure everybody else is picking up on this, but like, the sins of ignorance. You gonna speak to it? Sphere?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah. I
let you
was
go.
thinking,
Go ahead.
go ahead, man.
Go ahead. Nah, I ain't trying. Unless you want me to go and you go next. You gonna
Yeah,
still
go ahead.
go?
I'm gonna go
All
ahead
right.
and go ahead.
All right. So yes, the sin of ignorance, y'all. I mean, That's an interesting, profound truth, fam. That
Yeah.
means you can sin and not even be aware, right?
Yeah.
That means you uh just because you sin and all of that, that doesn't necessarily and any one of us is sitting up here talking about, oh, we Israelites. That doesn't just erase the guilt that you had before a holy Yah. I know. I ain't look, I'll stop there. Go ahead, bro. You got it.
And I'm land back off of that. And this is why it was important. I was talking to my granny a little earlier about why King Dawid was he was praying 3 times a day, right? And this is why you died daily to your sins
Come on,
because of
man.
the unseen and the unknown sin, right?
The script
And
for you once you're done.
man, listen, bro. And then if it says if a soul shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments, pause right there. So what is sin? Transgression of the
Transgression.
law,
Correct. Come.
right? So we just brought that all the way back to Leviticus. So sin is just like and you can be ignorant of the law, right? So that's why the priest had to get involved. Well, now we have the high priest Mashiach, right? But so sin is just not any and everything that your church pastor might say it is, or that you might say it is. Sin is a specific thing, and it's telling you, hey, the sin is against the commandments of the Most High. Sin is not this arbitrary thing that anybody can say it is. You know, so that's why it's important to study and to show yourself approved to even know if you're violating the laws of the Most High.
Yeah.
Because
Simple
the
thing.
question would be, well, how would if you're ignorant of it, how do you know that you're sinning? How do you know to repent of something that you didn't know existed?
Psalms 19:12 real quick. I'll just read it out, but y'all got it.
Go ahead.
It says, who can since you brought up David, who can I'll read verse 11 and 12. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Verse 12, who can understand his errors? Then he says, cleanse thou me from secret faults.
Yep.
Exactly. Like because when we pray, or even still we're learning and coming into this truth. Nobody's here, been in the truth for 70 years. Some of us might have been alive for 70 years, but it's a whole different ball game to actually be in this truth for 70 years. So there's things we're still picking up, still learning. Like what we like a few years ago, we sacrificed a lamb, and then after diligent study, figured out we didn't need to do that. So, but the Most High had mercy on us, and nobody dropped dead. And we went through and, asked for forgiveness. And now we know that's no longer necessary because of Mashiach. But we're just
Sir.
trying. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. Yeah, so that's just an example of the Most High's grace. And and I'm pretty sure the prayers that we said before that, for when we were asking for forgiveness of sins that were known and unknown, that helped to cover our butts. And so the Most High was like, look, they're gonna get it right. So he allowed what allowed to happen as a learning point. But we eventually came to the truth. Like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks to Mashiach, the more intricate details of what the Levitical priest would do to atone for sin is no longer necessary because of Mashiach. But that doesn't mean we aren't to keep the other law, statutes, and commandments that are set forth in the Torah. It's just that the sacrificial laws have been done away with because of Mashiach. Because what it states in, I forget, like somewhere in Hebrews is that Mashiach is essentially, he's the ultimate blood sacrifice.
The most I winked at our ignorance, man.
Yeah.
I like that verse 13 right there too. 13 to 14 caps it off too. in that Psalms 19. Pretty
Yeah.
strong too. Because this one talking about presumptuous sin, so I'm pretty sure we'll get into that.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what did Leah say? See, and he said, yeah, and it works in our favor to do as we did or as they did back then as well. That's what Leah said, to, ask for forgiveness for unknown transgressions of the law. Because we
No,
just go
no,
ahead.
what I was saying to that was I was saying it works in our favor for us to know what the law is. Like
Okay.
it shouldn't be
Yeah.
something that we shy away from. It should be something that we diligently seek, because that way people can't tell you that something is a sin and it's not. You need to always be able to say, show me the law for
Yeah.
this. Show me and if it's just like somebody says, well, okay, the very appearance of evil or something like that. Let's just say somebody says that, because a lot of people throw that around. Then it would be like, well, whose appearance of evil? Right? So it's like we really have to like know this word, because if not, then anybody can throw things around, whether they are in the faith, outside the faith, and they can say, well, if you're a Christian or if you're this, then you should be doing this or you should not be doing this. And we should be able to say, okay, well, let's go back to Torah and see where this came from, or where the mindset that you have comes from. And then we can address it, and it's not anybody's opinion, and whatever you come to at the end of it, then that's going to be between you and the Most High. But there has to be a balance of like where we even start. And I think that if you don't know Torah, well, I know if you don't know Torah, you're just kind of grasping at straws. You know what I mean? You're kind of just like, well, my mama told me I'm not supposed to do this, or the pastor said. And so we're just basically going off of what we've been taught, which probably 90% of that is just good living off a good principle. But we should know where it comes from in the law, you know?
Yeah.
I agree with you, sis, because it goes back to adding burden or adding a yoke on someone's neck, because that's what the Mashiach came for, to loosen the reins. Because remember, if you go to the renewed covenant, they're having ordinances of washing your hands, like before you do this, and calling that sin. So Mashiach was calling those kind of actions out. So you don't want anyone to put any undue burdens on you also. So you walking around here scared to live your life
Hmm.
because you think every move you make is a sin. So I agree with Aaliyah on that one.
Yeah, like you said, with the yeah, if you're gonna talk about this, the appearance of evil, I say, well, what evil? Like you talking about? Tell me
Hmm.
what evil. Otherwise, like you said, we just throwing stuff out there, and
Yeah.
the word is concrete, partner. So
Yeah, you should be able to, just like we try to tell people the dietary laws. Like, oh, you can eat anything you want because Mashiach died for it. I was like, why would he die for you to eat unclean things? That doesn't make any sense. If he wouldn't touch it, why would he want you to eat it? So that's just an easy example. But people gonna do what they want to do. See, let's go on to the next question. What shall the elders do with their hand before slaying a bullock for sin offering for sin? It's pretty much the same thing, but so at the previous question, as we read, it deals with more the individual or the individual citizen of Yasharel or the individual priest of Levi. And this next question deals with the whole assembly. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same, but let's go ahead and read it. Who wants to get the next one? It's not that far, not that long. Come on
I'll
now.
read it.
There you go.
All right. I'll be reading out KJV. Let's see. This is Leviticus 4:13 through 21. And if the whole congregation of Yasharal sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things which should not be done, and are guilty. When the sin which they have sinned against it is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before Yahuwah, and the bullock shall be killed before Yahuwah. And the priest the priest that is anointed shall bring the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation, and the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood, and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahuwah, even before the veil. And he shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar, which is before Yahuwah, that is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour out all the blood that at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall take all his fat from him, and burn it upon the altar. And he shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock for the sin offering. So shall he do with this. And the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. And he shall carry forth the bullock without the camp, and burn him as he burned the first bullock. It is a sin offering for the congregation.
There you go. So again, and atonement, right? Day of Atonement. It usually, I'm trying to remember what part of the year. That's later in the year, more in the summer, like right before Sukkot. And this scripture right here alludes to, it just said it, one of the key feast days that Yasharal is to keep for generations. It's interesting that, we all grew up in the church, and that I don't even know if they've ever really read Leviticus 4 in the church, at least as a group. But atonement, we're told that Jesus is the ultimate atonement for sins, which he is. But the Day of Atonement is still something we are to keep for our individual households as well, as a way to, absolve ourselves of the known and unknown transgressions of the law that happened throughout the year earlier. So it's like a reset. It's like a cleansing, so you can an evaluation, a personal evaluation again of your own actions to improve yourself, not to go back to the things that caused you to err. So it is just very interesting how the priests are again doing what was set forth back in Exodus, and they're just carrying it out. And even before the Day of Atonement, you can still atone for things that were known or unknown. And this was the method that you would do so before Mashiach came. So it's just very good, because now we're at the level of atonement for the whole village, which is, or not the whole village, the whole assembly. And then there's one more level that even a ruler has to abide by. And here we go.
I had
Go
something
ahead.
for that real quick, bro.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so back at 13, and if the whole congregation of Yasharal sin through ignorance, and the thing is hid from the eyes of the assembly, right? So this could be it's a slippery slope, because it could be through doctrine, right?
Yep.
So you could be in an assembly who has a certain type of doctrine, and that doctrine is not in accordance to the commandments. But the only way you'll know that is if we're constantly reproving each other. So it's important that we sharpen each other, saying this word, and if we do see an error within the congregation, we have to be able to speak out and say something, because you don't want the entire congregation to be in sin. But at that point, we have to take responsibility and ownership.
Yeah, exactly. Because
That's
yeah,
real
at that,
good.
if it carries on, things like sickness and possible death could happen. You don't want that. Because the Most High will send a snake in the camp if he deems necessary.
See, I love this one, man. I love this whole idea that the ignorance, and I'm telling you, because it drives a certain level of accountability, right, between different levels, like I've just never seen in Leviticus 4. It drives certain levels. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, we talking about it could be anything. There's so many different things. You could be, you could be, you could not treat your brethren the proper way. You didn't go through Matthew 5:18. Either one. You didn't, I mean, you treating your wife right all of the time, like according to vice versa. See, I started with the men first. Man, I could go on and on and on about this. But it's crazy. But I love this.
Yes, sir.
It's a daily self-evaluation, or like you say, daily killing of yourself, daily dying to the word. And that's, think about it, because like other belief systems, they're like, as long as it's, for the most part, there's no serious physical or emotional harm, you're okay. But the Most High is like, you have to be a clean ruach daily. And that takes time because we've all learned bad habits from, growing up, dealing with the Gentiles and stuff. So it's one day at a time. So it's kind of, I always laugh when I hear certain groups say they have the whole truth. I was like, have you been alive long enough to have the whole truth? Like, you're still learning, aren't you?
If you don't come here, then you ain't in the truth. Whatever that. I ain't gonna say that.
Yeah, and those are bold statements, bro. To say that you have that you in the whole truth, like this is the truth here, being given to our ancestors, right? And for what, a few thousand years, they still wasn't getting it right. So because come on, man, like a little bit of humility, right?
Yeah.
So all this checking the box nonsense, as I was saying, like uh Leviticus 4 is cutting all that. You literally cannot do a check the box because now there's you have to do some inward searching. You know what I'm saying? Am I walking right? Did I say the right thing to my brother, to my sister? What am I doing exactly? Is my congregation walking accordingly? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of for lack of a better word, soul searching that has to happen. It's not just checking off these boxes, you know?
Yes, brother. Yes, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
Paul said it himself. He said, "Man, I do the things I ain't even trying to do."
Yeah.
One of the one of the guys that's super brute around here was like, "Man, you know, but
Yeah,
I know
Hebrews
we can walk around like we got it. I get you. That's how
the
we do, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the
original super.
Israelite way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
That's
Like
like a balloon, bro. Yeah.
Paul was one of the original super brews, I guess, man. Because like he was killing us at first, so I guess one extreme to the other.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah, but
that's a
then when he met the
perfect
living
example,
word, it was
bro.
a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what he say, he said, you got to think with all his training and all his knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments. He said, "I perceive my knowledge is dung. I don't. He doesn't know anything. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And this is someone who sat under the kneecaps of somebody of a Torah keeper, a master of the law, until he met the Mashiach, the author of the law. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
So, I don't buy all that. We got the secret sauce. You know what I'm saying? Just stay
Nah,
humble and just keep learning.
if you ain't here, you ain't in the truth. Man, look, man, I will never say nothing like that, man.
Can I interject something right here?
Go right ahead,
Uh,
Edie.
I just want to let y'all know I'm on the road. My son has some car problems, so I'm going to pick him up. So I won't be able to read anything, but I can talk. Um, that reminds me of the verse where it says, the Yahudim is not one outwardly, but inwardly. And
Yes.
that's what we that's what we as awakened Israelites should be striving for, is the inward part, because the outward part doesn't do anything for you. It's the inward. Are you a Yahudim inwardly? That means you have those when he was talking to the Pharisees, and he says, you clean the outside of the cup, not the, I'm paraphrasing, not the inside. You don't clean the inside, just clean the outside. And then he said, you keep the law, you give tithes of mint, cumin, but you omit the weightier matters of the law, which are these things that we should be doing: long suffering, mercy, all these things that we should be doing, that we see, that I've seen in the awakening, that people are just not doing. So they have the outward appearance, outwardly, they're doing everything, and so that just brought that to my mind. Those verses to my mind was what y'all were talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ema. Keep on trucking.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the
Yeah,
next question.
my son called me just as we were about to get on. He said, I need you to come give me his car. His car is his alternator.
Oh, he got a
I have to
classic
go pick
Cadillac or
him up.
something.
No, he's got a what you call that? GMC Acadia. That's what he has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why I'm on my way. But I'm listening.
Well, thank you. We thank you for your wisdom, Ema. It's always appreciated because you've seen a lot. Considering you're 2 generations removed from Jim Crow, 1 generation maybe.
Yeah, I was
Like,
born in '54, and I remember watching all the the height of the civil rights movement.
yeah.
And I remember segregation. I remember having separate going to the movie and go upstairs. I remember going, those types of things, segregation. And I remember we weren't so much affected, I guess, by so much of the other stuff as it pertained to racism, and because we were more rural and more distance. But I remember going into town from the country and seeing white people, and they kind of seemed like very, very strange, because I didn't know a whole lot of white people growing up. So yeah, so it's come. I haven't seen a whole lot like my mother or my grandmother would have seen, but I saw some things that were, have made an imprint on me even to this day. So
Yeah, and I'm happy the Most High kept you protected, and he led you to us, because I've experienced some stuff as a kid, and it really wasn't until we moved out to Osceola, Missouri, um, and it really wasn't even me. It was like they would more say stuff on the slide of my sister when we were in high school
yeah,
there, because I was running with the football team, and then I had a crew. It was me, my friend Lester, and so it was at least 3 of us. So they knew not to say nothing, because we were all from the city. So, but they never said nothing on the slide. But apparently after all these years, I had to sit down with my sister. She said, "Yeah, they would say stuff on the slide to me, not to you." Because she was the only Yashar Alim girl in that town. And the only time she would ever see another one is if, during track meets or something like that. So, and that was something I never knew. If I'd have known, I'd have handled it. But I wish you'd have told me. But yeah, so and like I like the first time I was even called the hard R was actually in that town. Like I wasn't even called that like in Oklahoma City where I grew up most of my life. It's not till you get out to like, in the middle of nowhere, Missouri and places like that. So,
Yeah.
I've never been, threatened with a lynching or anything of that nature, but I was fortunate. It's fortunate. And also, I had a little bit like if I had the knowledge of who we were back then, I'd probably been a little bit more of a knucklehead and dared them to do something. But I had a little bit more of a peaceful mindset, even though I played football. But it's it's just interesting, all of what we've had to deal with these Gentiles, but the Most High still kept us. Let's see. Um, what shall the ruler do with his hand before slaying the goat/lamb for sin? And this is it. Like this is the final question. But it's interesting. The Most High even has a standard for the ruler. It's not unlike what we see here in Babylon, is where there seems to be rules for thee, but not for me type thing. Where even the Most High has a standard for the king and the queen of Yasharal. Like everybody has to follow the straight and narrow. Because if not, well, we see what we're seeing now with Babylon, their destruction. So who wants to get 22 through 35? And this is it for today.
I was gonna say while you guys were talking, I was just waiting, but I don't know if I've told you guys this story before, but my mom, I'm from a little small town outside of Galveston called Hitchcock, Texas, and it's really tiny. It's really small, and to this day, it's still very segregated. I don't think they even have a Walmart yet. Like the last time we were there, I think they still didn't even have that. And so it's still very segregated. The only time they come together is for like football games, like it's still separate church and all that type of stuff. But one of the things my mom did tell me, and it kind of struck me, I didn't understand how I can be that close to that generation. But my mom said that they didn't integrate until high school. And when they did, that it was like a ton of fights and all kinds of things going on because she said that the non-black students would, say certain things like, um, like if somebody touches you, if they touch you, then you're gonna grow a tail and turn into a monkey. And it was always constant things being said, like because the racism, like integrating them, didn't remove the racism that came with it. And so she said it was like constant. It was like really hard the first like couple years, and then after that, then things got better. So by the time my aunt got into high school and everything, things were different. But yeah, she said high school is when they integrated and that it was crazy.
Yeah, man. We all are experience some level of Mississippi burning or what's the other one? Um, uh, the one with LeVar Burton. Um, he's cool. Can't tell you. I can't remember. Roots. Yeah, that. Your Roots. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's the one thing that I've always said. There's a lot that our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents didn't tell us. And I don't know. It's because I know my grandmother. But she was definitely afraid of the police. And I used to wonder why she was so afraid of the police. She wouldn't, like if I'd be sitting in the car with her and a policeman would park beside her, she'd be like, "Shh, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet." And she'd be like afraid. I'd be looking at her like, "What's wrong?" There's a policeman. But she grew up in a time of the patrollers. And do you know what she called them? Patty rollers. Yes, patty rollers. same as patroller. You know how we take words and we turn it into something. But she would call them patty rollers. And there's no telling what kind of trauma she was subjected to as a girl growing up, seeing these patty rollers roll up in their communities and stuff and just snatch people up. So like what ICE doing now. So that kind of like imprinted on me. I always wondered about, and she never said why. It's just that
Wow.
I knew that she was very afraid of the police. She'd just be shaking in her boots. She'd be so afraid. But that's why, because I didn't realize, it dawned on me that she was born in the late 1800s. So she saw a lot of stuff, happening to our people. And it's very traumatic. And I think that's why a lot of the older people didn't tell us about things, something so traumatic that to tell it again will just kind of bring up all that trauma again, you know.
Yeah, that's the issue with that. That does bring
Yeah.
up trauma. But you said it for the
And
people that don't know. Patty roller, let me help you out there, even if you don't mind. Patty roller is 19th century colloquial term for slave patrol in the American South, which were armed white groups that monitored, apprehended, and punished enslaved people operating between the 1700s and 1865. They enforced slave codes, caught runaways, and prevented revolts.
that's what she would
Continue on,
call them,
continue on.
patty rollers. But it was, it was just, and my grandfather was older than her, a lot older. He was a lot older than she was, and he probably seen a lot more traumatic stuff, as a child growing up, and a lot of that stuff was just not repeated because it was just so horrific, and it was just where I live in Goliad. And this was back in the had to be 1970s or maybe early 80s, even in Goliad. They had policemen that would just, policemen just walk. This guy was a good friend of mine, and I didn't even know it because I wasn't living here at the time. But the guy was standing up for himself, and he didn't even threaten the guy. He just, he just socked him one. He was, and they sent that young man away for the rest of his life for that.
For a punch.
For protecting his own family and protecting his because the sheriff didn't have any business coming by there, but and so he basically died in prison over there. He didn't kill anybody. He just died in prison. They never parole or nothing. He never got parole or anything. So those things are still, and it hasn't been too long ago that he passed away. So it's like, no, when they talk about it was a long time ago, no, it wasn't a long time ago, and I have to say that I'm witness to that, because there's a lot of you see most of the people who are acquitted after 20, 30, 40 years. Who are they? Black.
Yep.
I haven't seen not one person acquitted who was white. I may have, but it's so few I don't remember. But most of the time you see people proven innocent after 20, 30, 40 years are Black men.
That's right.
And that's just a shame. Their whole life has been taken from them because of racism. And
even posthumously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, I guess I'm kind of in my old age. I'm not too old, but I'm old. And it's like, I have a fire in me for activism, and not like, but yeah, I don't feel sorry for these people, because the majority of these people they sit up and watch that stuff happen and didn't say anything or do anything. So you are active participant in racism.
I agree.
And so, you can miss me with all this stuff. I don't see racism, and I treat everybody equally. No, you don't. You can't. You couldn't convince me that in 1,000 years. Until you put your own on the line, like John Brown did. A lot of people don't know that John Brown lost a son fighting for our folks. Until you put your life on the line, like he did, you can't even talk to me about how non-racist you are. You just a racist and you don't know it, because you convince yourself that I can just close my eyes and turn a blind eye, but I'm not racist.
Yeah, they live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From one of these well-known people. I'll get the name, but one of these well-known people that born in Alabama, raised in Kentucky, and currently lives in Tennessee. So I mean, I'm talking about just the trifecta of supremacy here, so-called. He went out and adopted an Ethiopian child, and then that's when he saw everything. He thought it didn't
Yeah.
even exist. Yeah, I'll pull the video and share it in the chat. But
Yeah.
Jamel
I saw
Jamel
that
Jamel
video,
Hill did a
by the
piece
way.
on it. Oh, okay, yeah, Jamel Hill's piece. Yeah, she did a
Mm-hmm.
good piece on it. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, and I know the words that he used was, I didn't know I was living in a bubble. Essentially, he's one of the right wing cats, the whole nine. But so I was like, okay, I'll start using that. Essentially, y'all live in a bubble. That's what you live in.
And the thing is, like we can look in our history and see like great people, Dr. King, Malcolm. But if they look at their history, they're seeing the people who persecuted those people, and that's not comfortable to see. that's that's not a comforting feeling. Like they did back in their family tree, it's like, oh, like, why are you in this clan photo with the sheets on and something hanging in the tree that's not fruit? Like, and so that can be hard to acknowledge, and then also acknowledge that you know there's an atonement that needs to be done for that, for what their forefathers did. But the Most High won't handle that in due time. But it's very, if I was an Edomite, I'd have a closed mind too. I wouldn't want to know how much of the bad guy we actually were if I was them. So it's understandable, you know. But they're slowly figuring out, because just like back in the day, how because of the Deuteronomy 28 curses, our women betrayed our men. Their women are betraying them now. So the curses are reversing. Also, I was putting that Uno reverse card on them, and everything they did to us is now being done to them. And it's, I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty entertaining to watch. So all praise to the Most High. But let's finish off this last question, and then that'll be it for today's lesson. What shall the ruler do with his hand before slaying the goat or lamb for sin? It wants to get 22 through 35, just 13 verses, and that'll be it. Yes. See where.
I'll read.
Go right ahead, Cody.
Okay. So this is going to be Leviticus chapter 4, verse 22 through 25 or 35.
Yep.
And okay, it says, when a ruler hath sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Most High, his Elohim, concerning things which should not be done, and is guilty, or if his sin wherein he hath sinned come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish, and he shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat and kill it in the place where they kill the burnt offering before the Most High. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it upon the horns of the altar of blunt offering, and shall pour out his blood at the bottom of the altar of burnt offering. And he shall burn all his fat upon the altar as the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And if any one of the common people sin through ignorance, while he doeth somewhat against any of the commandments of the Most High concerning things which ought not to be done, and be guilty, or if his sin which he hath sinned come to his knowledge, then he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a female without blemish, for his sin which he hath sinned. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay the sin offering in the piece of the burnt offering. I'm sorry, in the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood thereof with his finger and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat is taken away from off the sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor unto the Most High. And the priest shall make an atonement for him, and it shall be given him. And if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring it a female without blemish. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of the sin offering, and slay it for a sin offering in the place where they kill the burnt offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger, and put it upon the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. And he shall take away all the fat thereof, as the fat of the lamb is taken away from the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar according to the offerings made by fire unto the Most High. And the priest shall make an atonement for his sin that he hath committed, and it shall be forgiven him.
There you go. So no one is above reproach. Even the ruler of Yasharal himself still had to atone for things that he may or may not be aware of. Because if not, the nation of Yasharal would have fell apart even quicker than what it did. So that is it for today's lesson. If nobody has anything else they want to state, I'll read the closing, and you can go and enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.
I was gonna say I like the way it keeps on saying doing things he should not.
Yeah,
It's not real specific. It's just like you're doing
Yeah.
stuff you're not supposed to be doing. Like it doesn't even matter. Like you're not supposed to be doing it. You're doing things that you should not be doing. Therefore, you're gonna do this. So we don't even know what it was. He's just like anything I said that you shouldn't be doing, you priest, you gotta clean all that up. So I thought that was
Kind of
kind
like
of
a parent,
amazing.
right? Right, Elliot, like a parent. Like I know you did something. I don't know what it is.
Kind of, kind of like solidifying that even though this is the way you fix it, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Instead of
Yeah,
just like, oh, here's the way out. It's more like,
yeah,
you shouldn't have did it, but since we're in this situation now, here's how you go about it.
For real. And the significance of every single time they're placing their hand upon the head of the bullock. So I noticed that's like the central theme of everything.
you're transferring the transgressions onto the animal. That's basically, in a sense.
I was just looking at that, and it's like every time is you have to put their hands on. They're putting the head to the head, right?
Right.
And
The priest had to do it. The elders had to do it.
yes, yes,
Even the
yes, yes,
uh, even the king would have to do the slaughter because, like it said, the king would slaughter, not even just like the king would tell somebody to slaughter a lamb for him. He had to participate. So that's interesting.
And common
yeah,
people. Verse 27. He was just a
Yeah.
regular common person.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep, exactly. Somebody common had to take care of it too. I was looking at all those key points. Everything y'all are saying, I looked at all those little fine print as well because I was like, man, it's very like, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to have to atone for this. It doesn't matter who you are. None of you guys are guiltless all the time. There's going to be a time that you're going to have to do it. So let me go ahead and give you all the laws for it because obviously somebody did it or y'all wouldn't even had to have created these things. And then the head situation, it reminds me of when I can't remember who gave the lesson. Maybe that was Shafir about the priest. And we talked about like the Mitri. And there was a verse that said like that he has to carry like the weight that the priest has to carry, the high priest carries like the sins.
yep,
I believe it said like on his head or on his
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was like
something
what?
like that, right?
Was that
And the
Exodus?
breastplate. Yep.
Was that in Exodus like 36 or something like that? 37?
Yeah, that was the Exodus because the priest he has to he carries the weight upon his shoulders, right, and the breastplate. So it's a heavy burden that he had as he goes in. So for atonement.
Oh yeah, we read the priest garb. It was like what was it Exodus 40 something? Can't remember. It was Exodus like it was near the end. I think it was like Exodus 40 when we or 39 or 38, 39 or 40. One of those three where we read out what they had to put on before they even went into the tabernacle. But that's
Yeah.
it. Oh, go ahead.
No. I'm good. I'll talk about it after recording. So
Okay. Well, that is it. I'm gonna go ahead and read out the closing, and then we can chat it up, and then y'all can go take naps and stuff. Yeah, I ain't done that already.
that's what best believe that's what I want to do. Like everybody else do.
All right. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and read it out. All right. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and guard his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. That's Old Testament, as they say, Ecclesiastes 12:13 through 14. And here is the patience of the Kodashim. Here are they that guard the commandments of Yahuwah and the belief of Yahusha. You can't have one without the other. Hallelujah. Not Old Testament. Renewed Covenant or New Testament, Revelation 14 and 12. Was it Shalom, Shalom, Shalom? And where's the stop? Did I stop? No, I didn't stop. Stop recording.